everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So a really interesting article came out here about Lauren Cohan, and she was actually talking about why she left The Walking Dead originally, and it's really interesting. So yeah, before we go any further, make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. I think my next video is going to be on, I think, Morgan, or I'm not sure what I have planned actually, but stay tuned for a lot of that because I have some videos just about like The Walking Dead in general right now, not necessarily about Dead City. So yeah, that's going to be on the next couple of days here. But I really wanted to talk about this because this was something that we were all wondering about, you know, going back to, I mean, season 8, season 9, right? Like, what was going on with Lauren Cohan because she left The Walking Dead. And a lot of us at the time were thinking that maybe it was some sort of, I guess, contract issue or something like that. And it seems like that is what the issue was here. And I think the way that everything played out overall, and it makes sense as to why she came back. And I know that a lot of rumors were like, well, she came back because her show wasn't airing anymore, right? Whiskey Cavalier. But I don't think that was the reason at all. It was a lot of, well, I guess we'll get into that in this video here. So according to this article here, Lauren Cohan said that the reason why that she left The Walking Dead originally seems to be over a contract issue at the time. And so it is really interesting because it seems like for The Walking Dead, a lot of contract stuff was the reason for a lot of like character deaths or why characters were leaving the show at the time, because a lot of contracts were ending at the very end of season 8 of The Walking Dead. And it seemed like going into season 9, like that was the whole thing of like, well, who signed a new contract? What's going on for season 9? Is season 8 going to be the last season? What's happening, right? And so it seems like what happened after that, going into season 9, is, well, where things really went kind of everywhere, right? Where Rick left the show, but obviously he was coming back. And then Maggie obviously left the show as well, but then she did come back. Carl got killed off in season 8, and there was a lot of debate at the time about all the contract stuff, like whether or not that contributed to Carl's death on the show, and just a lot of things there with the show. But obviously the show was going to continue on, and so that's why everyone else was there. But yeah, things changed quite a bit after season 8, and this is what Lauren Cohan said when she left the show. She said, "When I left the show because we were at an impasse, I got 13 offers to lead my own show. And I don't say that to gloat, I just say that because it gave me faith. There will always be undulations in popularity or reasons that you do and don't get jobs, and I experience that all the time, but it was a great moment because I went and I met so many amazing creators and producers and writers that I was so excited to go do stuff with, and I felt so invigorated. It was twofold too, because I knew I'd done the show for a long time, and I knew it was healthy for me to go do something else. And so that's really interesting to hear, because I do feel like that probably was more of, you know, what it was back then was more like, well, you know, I can go and do other things. Like, I've done this show for a long time now, and I can just go and do other things right now and just see what else is out there for me, right? And it seems like she had a lot of opportunities out there. Obviously, it gave her a lot of faith to make that decision, right? And so that's why she went and did Whiskey Cavalier. And so she actually talks about that a little bit here in terms of her doing Whiskey Cavalier, and how, I guess, she got back to The Walking Dead, because that was one thing that we talked about quite a bit, was like what's going on with Lauren Cohan and the whole Whiskey Cavalier situation. And, you know, was it because of money, or was it because of, you know, the show not doing that well, or this and that? And yeah, this is what she had to say. She said, "Then when I went back, it was because it was healthy for me to go back at that moment. When I went to do Whiskey Cavalier, which was such an incredible experience and so sad that the show didn't get to go for longer, I had talked to Angela Kang, who was our showrunner on The Walking Dead in those years, and she was like, okay, how do we make this work? If you shoot that show, you come back part-time and do this thing." Then Angela Kang was also really encouraging and supportive of me directing. She was one of the first people that was really supportive of that. It was a really good shift. I think that I sort of sometimes just quietly go through things, and then there's a moment and I'm like, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to meet that moment? And I don't do that unless it's time, and it was time. So that was a good experience on that show. That was not about the show at all. It was about my relationship with myself. And so it's really interesting, because having her back was obviously really, I mean, amazing. Like, you want Maggie to be a part of The Walking Dead. Like, for her to not be there was just like, I don't know, it felt very off, I will say, for a lot of season 9. I think it worked though for that story, but when she did come back later on in season 10, it was just like, oh, there we go, like, Maggie's here, right? Like, Maggie is a big part of this story and should never have been gone. And it's one of those things that's just, you know, it's unfortunate, because you look at Maggie and Michonne's final story, and it left in a really bad place, because they both really didn't like each other at all. And Michonne was kind of, just staying away from everyone in Alexandria. Maggie was like, well, I'm done with everybody, I'm leaving, and just went and tried to, help out other communities kind of thing. And so, like, Maggie and Michonne's, like, last scenes together were not the best. And so that's kind of why you want them to reunite, right? Like, to have, like, a good moment together, right? And just, like, everyone forgives each other, everyone moves on kind of thing. But it's interesting because a lot of the contract negotiations at the time, like, a lot of things were coming up. Like, I know that Andrew Lincoln and Denai Guerrera, Norman Reedus, they were all a part of that. And I know that obviously there's numbers out there in terms of like who was getting paid what and whatever. I don't really necessarily, care about that too much. But Lauren Cohan wanted to, get what she thought she deserved the show. And, eventually she did get it. So I think that's really incredible. And I mean, obviously everything has been working out because Lauren Cohan is still working with AMC and loves the character Maggie and is, working on stories with The Walking Dead and everything. So obviously, in the end, everything went really well. And so it is just interesting when you're looking at, like, future stories and whatnot. I think that that's the one thing, is that you want the people that play these parts to be very happy, with just, what they're doing overall. And a lot of the contract stuff, a lot of people don't like to talk about that, but that's one thing that, like, obviously, like, you're doing this for a living, right? Like, that stuff has to be worked out. And if that stuff was worked out, like, it just makes it so that you can kind of have that story be really good and just, have that be, like, the main driver of, what makes your show really good. And so, yeah, it was really interesting to, actually, like, I guess, know a lot of this now, because Lauren Cohan, I guess, was pretty quiet about the whole thing. And, like, a lot of actors don't talk about things like this overall, right? And for The Walking Dead, like, I think that was, I mean, if you look at everyone, for the most part, they all kind of, I don't want to say got what they wanted, but they were all, like, a part of the show for, I guess, what they wanted, right? Like, Michonne was a part of the show for season 9 and for season 10 and then left. So whatever her contract was, it was most likely, like, for 2 seasons or something like that. And then Norman Reedus and Melissa McBride, a couple of years ago, signed, like, a multi-contract deal where I think it was, like, to appear in other spinoffs and all that. And so obviously we saw that with The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon, right? So I think that was more because they were combining a lot of the contract stuff with, like, The Walking Dead and then the spinoff. And so I don't know what things are like going forward, but it's interesting when you look at a lot of the behind the scenes stuff here. And yeah, Lauren Cohan talking about this here, I guess we kind of know and, like, really understand now what happened, I guess, when she left the show. And so, yeah, really interesting. And I will say, when she left the show also, it was just something that was not the best for the show. I remember when she actually returned from The Walking Dead, and it felt a lot like, okay, like, this is The Walking Dead. I know that there's always, like, that frustration when it came to Maggie and Negan. Like, a lot of people don't like their story and the whole thing with Glenn. Everyone's just so, over that drama already. I think that the way that they've sort of dealt with a lot of it makes a lot of sense, and that's why, to me, I've always been okay with it. Like, I do understand being, like, tired of it already because you want the story to be on something else. I do get it, but they're working through it very well. Like, it's literally a part of the story now, right? Like, Maggie and Herschel are having issues now because of it, but a lot of it is, like, Maggie has gotten over it now, and a lot of what we saw at the very end of, the final season or the end of The Walking Dead is still true to this day. And yeah, obviously Maggie working with Negan, like, in season 1 of Dead City, like, there was going to be some stuff that came up, but overall, where they ended there at the very end, like, things are in a good place now. And it seems like for this season, when the characters reunite, it's more positive now than where things were. So it's going more in the direction now where I think this is ending that whole entire arc. And we're seeing how everything is playing out here. I think there's going to be some more drama with Herschel that has to come up here because he's getting older now. He's going to realize some stuff, right? So obviously he's going to be going through a lot more of that. But it seems like Maggie is getting over a lot of that now. So to me, it makes a lot of sense, but I do understand, I think that, maybe you're not a fan of that story and it's just been sort of going on for as long as it's been going on for, and maybe it's just something that you just want to be over at this point, but it's not ending yet, right? But yeah, I'm gonna leave it here. Definitely post all your thoughts down below. My next videos are gonna be on Lenny James. I do want to talk about his potential return to The Walking Dead and a lot of what he's said recently. And then I also want to get into a few other things. There's some stuff with The Walking Dead Dead City, but I have a few other things I want to talk about for The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon, because season 4 is officially in production now. So I want to get into that and talk about some of the, scheduling stuff for that and Dead City season 3. And could we be seeing season 4 of The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon before Dead City Season 3, because it almost feels like that might be something that does actually happen. But yeah, we'll talk about that in a separate video, but post all your thoughts down below. Hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.